Every day, a stream of power moves across open American land without a wire, a fuel tank, or a monthly bill. It bends the grass behind the barn. It hums through the fence line. It pushes across fields, driveways, sheds, and empty corners of a property most homeowners only think of as space. A small wind turbine changes what that space can do. It gives moving air a job, turn a rotor charge, a battery store power, and keep the essential loads alive when the house needs them most. That is the practical value of backyard wind. It takes the one thing an open American property already has moving across it and gives that movement a job. The air that pushes through a fence line over a field or past a barn can become a quiet second source of power instead of empty weather. The smart version begins with a simple idea. The turbine gives valuable wind a place to work. Once that power is stored in a battery, the wind outside becomes usable inside hours after the gust has passed. Put this machine in the right category. A small wind turbine is not just a spinning object in the yard. It is a property-level power layer, built for the kind of loads a homeowner does not want to lose cold storage, water pumps and household water supply workshop machinery, battery reserve, and the small electrical backbone that keeps a rural home functional. That is why the strongest version of backyard wind is not built around fantasy. It is built around continuity. When air moves across the property, the turbine turns that movement into charge, and the battery holds it for the things that matter after the gust is gone. This is where the idea becomes useful engineering. The land provides the motion. The turbine captures it. The battery stores it. The house gets a second layer of power that belongs to the property itself. To understand backyard wind, look past the machine for a moment and look at the land around it. A field, a pasture, a driveway opening a gap between two barns. Even a long fence line can shape the way air moves. The turbine is the tool, but the property is where the fuel is collected before anyone touches a wire. That is why location matters so much. Wind does not arrive as a neat block of power. It slips around buildings, lifts over tree lines, squeezes through open corridors, and gathers speed where the land gives it a clear path. A good spot lets the rotor meet that movement while it is still strong and useful. This is the part most people miss because the yard looks simple from the porch. The air above a field and the air beside a garage are not doing the same job. One can move like a steady belt. The other can tumble, twist, and hit the blades from different angles. For a homeowner, this changes the whole question. You are not only asking where a turbine can fit, you are asking where the land already sends its strongest, cleanest motion. Find that path, and the property starts acting less like empty space and more like part of the power system. The first thing to judge is not the turbine. It is the wind path. A yard can feel windy, but that does not mean the turbine is getting useful wind. What matters is whether the air reaches the blades in one clear direction, long enough to turn the rotor with steady force. This is what people mean by clean wind. It is not about the air being pure. It is about the air being usable. If the wind crosses an open field, it can push the blades like a steady hand. If it comes tumbling off a roof edge, a tree line, or the back corner of a shed, the rotor may still spin, but it is working inside broken air. You can see the difference in 20 seconds. Watch the grass behind a building, then watch the grass in an open strip of land. Behind the building, the grass may shake. Stop and switch direction. In the open strip, it leans longer in one direction. The second place is the kind of path a small turbine wants. That is why placement matters before any wire battery or tower choice. A convenient spot near the house may be easier to reach, but the better spot is where the property already sends wind in a cleaner line. Put the rotor there, and the turbine is not just reacting to random weather. It is harvesting a usable pattern. Clean wind depends on more than where the turbine sits. It also depends on how high the blades meet the air. On the same property, wind near the grass and wind around 30 feet above open ground can behave like two different sources. One is dragged through fences, shrubs, parked trucks, shed walls, and house corners. The other has a cleaner path to the rotor. That is the real job of the tower. It does not simply hold the turbine up where people can see it. It lifts the blades out of the messy layer near the ground and into air that can push more evenly. When that happens, the rotor does not waste as much motion fighting broken wind. More the movement can become useful rotation. You can see the difference without touching the machine. Near a fence, the grass may shake in short bursts, first one way, then another. Higher up the tops of taller trees may lean in one clear direction for longer stretches. The turbine is looking for that second kind of movement, steadier, cleaner, and easier to turn into charge. This is why the tower belongs inside the energy system, not outside it. The rotor captures motion. The generator turns that motion into electricity. The battery stores it. But the tower decides what quality of wind reaches the blades before any of that can happen. This is where the value of small wind becomes easier to see. On a strong wind site, a 1.5 kilowatt turbine can be sized around a 300 kilowatt hour monthly load. That breaks down to about 10 kilowatt hours a day. For a homeowner, that is no longer just a rotor spinning behind the barn. That is a daily amount of electricity large enough to keep the property's most important systems running. One reason this is valuable is that the property is generating electricity from a resource that arrives on its own every day. There is no fuel to buy, no gasoline to store, and no supply truck needed to keep the system running. When steady wind moves across the land, the turbine captures that energy and turns it into usable electricity for the home, farm, ranch, or cabin. Wind is not locked to daylight. If the site has usable wind in the afternoon at night, or during a weather front, the turbine can keep producing while the house is still using power. That matters because a battery by itself only holds what was charged earlier. Add wind, and the battery is no longer just waiting to be emptied. It can be refilled while the freezer pump lights, chargers, and controls are still drawing power. Even 10 kilowatt hours a day can go a long way when it is directed toward the loads that matter most. 10 kilowatt hours a day does not need to run every appliance in the house to be useful. It can help keep frozen food cold, keep water available from a well, keep a barn or workshop lit, keep tool batteries charged, and keep basic equipment alive longer. The point is not to power everything. The point is to keep the right things from failing first. Small wind fits open rural property better than a crowded suburban yard. Farms, ranches, cabins, ridge lots, and open land often have the two things the system needs: most cleaner wind and real electrical loads spread across the property. Here, the goal is not simply to shave a little off the electric bill. A more practical objective is keeping the essentials alive when the grid is unavailable. Frozen food, well water. Barn lights, tool charging, basic controls. And the battery bank that supports them. The stronger value is that the property gains another source of power, made on-site, stored on-site, and ready for the parts of the property that cannot afford to go dark first. The system is not just a turbine. It is a chain. The rotor catches moving air. The generator turns that rotation into electricity. A controller manages the power coming in. The battery stores it. Then, the house uses that stored power through a small group of protected loads. This chain matters because wind does not behave like a wall outlet. A gust may come hard for 10 minutes, then soften, then return later. The freezer, the well pump, and the lights cannot depend on that uneven rhythm directly. They need power that is available when the load turns on. That is why the battery sits at the center of the design. It separates the moment power is made from the moment power is needed. The turbine can charge when the wind is useful. The loads can draw later when the freezer cycles on, the pump starts, or the barn needs light after dark. For the homeowner, this makes the system easier to understand. The turbine is not trying to feed every appliance directly. It is feeding the battery. The battery is feeding the protected loads, and the protected loads are the reason the system exists in the first place. Food, water, light tools, and basic control when the grid is unavailable. Before buying the turbine, the homeowner has to test the property like a wind site, not just look at it like a yard. Start with a simple map. Mark the house, barn, garage tree lines, fences, silos, hills, and open strips of land. Then mark the directions where the strongest winds usually come from in that area. The best turbine spot is not the closest empty corner. It is the place where the wind can reach the rotor with the least obstruction. Next, remove the bad spots first. If the turbine would sit directly behind a building, behind a tree line inside a tight yard, or on the sheltered side of a hill, cross that place off the list. Those spots may feel windy on the ground, but they often give the rotor chopped up air. A good candidate spot should have open exposure toward the main wind direction and enough distance from the objects that break the flow. Then, measure the wind where the turbine would actually work. A handheld meter at chest height is not enough. The wind has to be checked as close as practical to the planned rotor height. For a first pass, use a small anemometer and wind vane mounted on a temporary pole in each candidate area. Record wind speed and wind direction at the same points every day. Morning, afternoon, evening, and night readings are better than one quick check on a windy afternoon. Do not only write down the highest gust. Write down what the wind does most of the time. A turbine is not built around one impressive number. It is built around repeated, usable wind. The notes should show three things: which direction the wind comes from most often, which spot gets the cleanest flow, and which spot keeps useful wind for the longest stretches. The homeowner should also look for turbulence signs. If the wind direction keeps swinging back and forth, if the meter jumps sharply, while the average stays low, or if grass and branches move in short, confused bursts, that spot is probably not feeding the rotor well. A better spot shows a steadier direction, longer stretches of movement, and fewer sudden changes caused by buildings, trees, or landforms. For a serious system, the test should not stop after one afternoon or one weekend. A short test can help choose where to keep looking, but a real wind decision needs longer data. The stronger version is to leave the meter in place. Collect wind speed and direction over weeks or seasons. Then compare the result with local wind maps and nearby long-term weather data. If the numbers still look strong, then the tower height, turbine size, battery size, and protected load list can be designed around evidence instead of hope. The order matters. First, map the property. Second, remove the sheltered and turbulent spots. Third, measure wind speed and direction near the planned rotor height. Fourth, compare the candidate locations. Only after that should the homeowner choose the tower and turbine. That is how a backyard wind project stops being a guess and becomes an engineered decision. The budget should come after the wind test. If the property cannot give the turbine steady, usable wind, even a low-cost turbine becomes wasted money. The blades may spin, but the battery will not receive enough charge to protect the loads that matter. In that case, the site simply does not have enough wind to support a turbine system. No equipment choice can compensate for a location that cannot produce the energy in the first place. Once the wind data looks strong, the money has a clear direction. It should not go only into the rotor. It should go into the full chain that makes the system useful. The right tower height, a turbine matched to the site, a charge controller, a battery bank safe, disconnects, and a small protected load, setup for the freezer well, pump lights, tools, and controls. A practical setup starts with the loads. The homeowner decides what must stay alive. First the freezer, the wells, pump the barn, or workshop lights, tool charging, and basic controls. Then the battery is sized around those loads. Then the turbine and tower are matched to the wind that the property can actually provide. That order keeps the project honest. The goal is not to buy the biggest rotor, the tallest tower, or the largest battery a catalog can sell. The goal is to build a balanced chain, enough wind reaching the blades, enough turbine to turn that wind into charge enough battery to hold it and the right loads waiting at the end of the system. In a good backyard wind project, every part has a job. The tower reaches cleaner air. The turbine makes charge. The controller manages that charge. The battery stores it. The protected circuits decide where it goes. When those pieces fit together, the system is not just making electricity. It is giving the property a controlled way to use the wind it already has. This is why small wind belongs in a different category from a normal backyard upgrade. It is not chosen because the yard has empty space. It is chosen because the property has the right combination. Open exposure, clean wind, enough height, and essential loads that need backup power when the grid is unavailable. In that setting, the turbine earns its place. It is not just adding another device to the property. It is connecting the open land, the moving air, the battery, and the protected loads into one working system. The barn, the well, pump the freezer, the tools, and the lights are no longer separate problems. They become the reason the system makes sense. That is the fit that makes backyard wind valuable. A farm ranch cabin ridge lot or open rural home already has space, working loads, and wind paths that can be measured and used. Small wind gives that property another way to support itself. When conditions are right, backyard wind becomes a high-value power layer. It turns free wind energy into reliable power and gives the property a way to keep critical systems running when the grid is unavailable. Backyard wind is not about putting a spinning machine in the yard. It is about turning the right piece of land into a source of stored power. If the wind is clean, the tower is right, and the loads are worth protecting. A small turbine can become one of the most valuable upgrades on a rural property. Would you try small wind for your home, or is your property too sheltered for it? Drop your answer in the comments. And if you want more practical home engineering ideas like this, subscribe to Smart Living Engineering.